Ukrainian forces are unleashing a wave of precision strikes supplied for by the French arms industry, obliterating Russian positions, command posts, and troop concentrations with deadly accuracy. In response to their success, France is sending its entire production of these guided bombs this year straight to Ukraine, doubling Ukraine's monthly supply and escalating the pressure on Russian forces, Euromaidan Press media outlet says. French Army General Nicolas Richoux recently stated that sanctions alone are not enough to bring Russia to the negotiating table. According to him, the only realistic path to a ceasefire or any negotiated peace requires the West to deliver large-scale military assistance to Ukraine. Other officials agreed and reiterated that the only way to reach peace and deter Russia further is by arming Ukraine to the teeth by any means necessary. France has provided over 8 billion euros in military aid since the start of the war, including advanced systems like the AASM-guided bombs, which have proven highly effective on the battlefield, Euromaidan Press says. Ukrainians used hammer-guided bombs to great effect to strike and demolish Russian command posts, force concentration and control points for Russian drone operators. In Bakhmut, Ukrainians hit such an exact Russian command post of the 3rd Army Corps in a high-rise building, eliminating the high-level commanders and delaying the already slow assaults in the Chasiv Yar area. In Kursk, Ukrainian first started bombing buildings in Tyotkino, where Russian drone operators were stationed. They then expanded their operations by striking against Russian strongpoints and fortifications concealed in the tree lines in the border area, scoring direct impacts and destroying the strongholds. The most significant Ukrainian strikes targeted and destroyed large Russian forces concentrations in Kyiv using drones to detect them and then relay information to fighter jets, destroying Russian forces that were preparing for an assault in Sumy, Euromaidan Press says. In coordination with the reconnaissance teams, the Ukrainian Air Force also struck concealed positions of Russian drone operators deep in the rear, effectively eliminating a big part of the Russian drone threat. The Ukrainian precision bomb strikes in Kursk against Russian forces concentrations, command posts and drone operators are aimed at thwarting the Russian summer offensive in this area, eliminating their forces in the rear before they organize for attacks and undermining the drone support. Ukrainian Air Force has also been very active in Zaporizhia, launching a destructive series of strikes against the Russian units. Euromaidan Press reports. Lastly, they hit a series of Russian command posts, cutting the head off the snake in Russian attempts to revitalize an offensive in Zaporizhia. The effectiveness of AASM hammer bombs only increased their demand among Ukrainian Air Force personnel, who praised them for their precision and effectiveness and urged the French to deliver more of them. Given the excellent results, French officials stated that they will produce over 1,200 AASM hammer-guided bombs this year and will send all of them to Ukraine. The Ukrainians utilized hammer bombs to strike Russian forces concentrations, all of which usually contain a full unit or company of at least 10 to 50 soldiers, meaning that the newly announced delivery of 1,200 French bombs could wipe out from 6,000 to 30,000 Russian soldiers, including key officers in the rear areas, capabilities that will play a crucial role in repelling the Russian summer offensive.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that the defense forces are succeeding in driving Russian troops out of the border areas of Sumy Oblast, and that the village of Andrivka has been liberated. Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky gave a report on the situation on the front and our active operations. Special and significant attention was paid to the Pokrovsk front and our Sumy Oblast, the border districts of our Sumy Oblast. We are managing to drive Russian forces out of there. I thank all our units who are truly delivering results. Based on the past few days, special gratitude goes to the soldiers of the 225th Separate Assault Regiment, namely for their offensive actions in the border area of Sumy Oblast and for the liberation, in particular, of Andrivka, he said. Zelensky also commended the 425th Separate Assault Regiment for its progress in the Pokrovsk direction, and highlighted the 1st Separate Assault Regiment and the 82nd Separate Airborne Assault Brigade for their successes in battles across the Donetsk region. He highlighted additional advances in the Kupiansk direction, crediting the 3rd Assault Brigade. Zelensky also mentioned ongoing operations inside Russian territory, particularly in Kursk Oblast, and thanked the 33rd Separate Assault Regiment, 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade, and 103rd Separate Territorial Defense Brigade for their bravery. Earlier, Zelensky said Ukrainian forces had stabilized the Sumy front and halted Russian advances. He identified the fiercest battles as taking place near Andrivka, Kindrativka, Oleksivka, Kostiantynivka, and Unikivka. He said that fighting was ongoing along the border on the Sumy front and that the Russians had been halted there. North Sloboda, that's what we call the Sumy front. We are leveling the position. What is important, there are 53,000 Russians there. The fighting there is along the border. You have to understand that the enemy is stopped there. The maximum depth at which the fighting takes place is 7 kilometers from the border. So that people also understand how far away Sumy is, he added. Zelensky also stressed that the threat had been eliminated on the Luhansk front. Serious fighting also takes place towards Kostiantynivka. The president said that the Russians had an advantage, but the defense forces are advancing along the road. Regarding Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, there is no advance of the group in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast now. But the information wave is very important for them. And they are trying to get at least 1 foot on the administrative border in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. For them, it is important to tell a story, take photos, record videos, etc. That's why they are launching small task forces to do just that, Zelensky said. The fighters of the 82nd Airborne Assault Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces have repelled another attack by the occupying Russian army. The invaders, who were advancing with 2 armored vehicles towards the position of the Ukrainian fighters located in the forest strip, were targeted by artillery units. The infantry soldiers who got out of the vehicles wanted to advance, but were unable to do so. Successive strikes destroyed both vehicles and the infantrymen. Later, a group of motorcyclists also tried to advance, but failed. As a result, all the vehicles and manpower involved in the attack were destroyed.